Slacker podcast is BYOT. Bring your own tacos.
Dick swinging.
You're listening to American Slacker Podcast.
We can say fuck.
With Matthew Gertz and Jesse Landers.
I don't care, I've been smoking, this is cool. That's a decent amount of sausage. This man needs a doctor! Yeah, I just hope they're tasty. What's up with these clowns, man? Cut the lights and went through people's pockets. Don't you point that at each other. Let them smoke a little. You need to step it up to that point. We're not gonna lead with the. We're not gonna lead with
All right, so here's how it happened. I had been involved in another film project for about 5 years of this other guy's thing, and was going to be this huge thing. You know, it was about PTSD and soldiers, and it had a big message to it and all this, and we were getting a lot of traction. And then all of a sudden, we had this potential money come into the picture. You know, it was potential money. It wasn't even real money. It's like somebody was like, all right, so we're thinking about, $1.2 million and, yada, yada. Wow. So I was like, yeah, exactly. So I was like, holy shit, that's a lot of money, Yeah. And so that was just me with the holy shit, that's a lot of money. Now, the other guy who wrote the project lost his freaking mind. So he was like, all right, well, this is my project and we're going to do it how I want. And, he just kind of went off the deep end when the illusion of money was there, not even when it was real, and he ended up basically saying he wouldn't give me the rights to the option, to basically say that I can represent the project, and I was going to be playing the lead in it. Mm-hmm. So I had no recourse to say anything, if he wanted to pull it, he could. And I would have no legal recourse. So basically, we got into a big situation, and he was like, well, I don't need you. And I was like, well, all right then. I guess that's how this is gonna go.
Oh wow.
So after 5 years of basically me with my audience and followers and giving this movie life and breath, and he did that, and so I'm in the backyard, and I just lost this project, and my wife is all pissed off, and she's inside, and I got a couple of, cocktails in, and she's got a couple of cocktails in, and I'm walking around the backyard, and I'm kicking rocks and just pissed off.
Yep.
And I go back inside, and my wife is she's walking around, and she's in the kitchen, and I go in, and she's whispering this. She's like, preacher. Just like that. And I'm like, what are you doing? That's really weird, She said, I don't know, but it's really cool. I have this idea. So this idea just came to her about a film. And so she started telling me what it was about. And there was some characters in there, and she had an uncle who was actually named Uncle Preacher. So she was just thinking about him for some reason. And then that came into this other idea about this movie. And so from basically losing a project and my wife whispering preacher in the kitchen, we have a movie now that we have actually shot this summer called Preacher 6. So that's
wow.
That's how that happened.
That's crazy. It's at least you turned something a bad situation with someone who went a little nuts over money to something that you guys created together, it seems like.
Yeah, she wrote it, and so basically that was about 2.5 years ago, and so right now, and that was so the 2.5 years that we spent was, she went right to town, writing it, while I'm building the audience for something that she's writing.
Nice.
Concurrently. You know what I mean? So it's so she just has ideas, and I'm like, oh, these ideas are great. We got to get some artwork and start building an audience, because I know how long it takes to make something like this happen. And so sure enough, she got the script, and I called a bunch of my my actor friends and whatnot that I've known forever, and we made a little movie. So now we just got to get it finished.
That's a cool origin story for Preacher, I have to say.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's indie film, man. It is it's a labor of love, and it's a passion, and it's like, to see something through is really difficult, because it does take a lot of money, of like actual money, to make it happen. And so we did, like, I think 3 or 4 different Indiegogos along over the 2 years, and then we did some GoFundMe's and sold a bunch of T-shirts and did a bunch of different things to raise the money. I had like just some private investment, so we finally pulled it off. And so it's primarily, mostly everything, I'd say it's 98% in the can. We just have to, a few pickup shots here and there, but nothing critical. And then go into post-production. And as you've seen from the trailers, there's some special effects that have to happen. So that's going to be part of post-production as well. And there's a lot of that.
Which looks really awesome. I'm excited to see the finished product.
Yeah, we're really excited to see it. It looks great. And let's start the show. Welcome to American Slacker Podcast. As always, I'm Matt.
And I'm Jesse. And today we're joined by our guest, Kyle Hester, from the film Preacher 6. Please tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
All right. My name is Kyle Hester, as you know. And first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate you guys.
We're happy to have you.
Right on. I am an actor, kind of turned into a producer over the last few years. And I've been acting since I was, basically in the 7th grade, when I was like, hey, the talent show, that looks like fun. And so you start there, and then I went to performing arts high school, and I went to Cal Arts out here in Los Angeles, or actually Valencia. And then it's kind of like just been doing the grind of the acting thing my whole life. And then I got into independent film a few years ago, starting with a film called The Chair, which is Roddy Piper's actually last film. It's Peter Simeti. Yeah, Peter Simeti is the creator. He's an indie comics producer and distributor. He has a thing called Alterna Comics, and so he had this horror film called The Chair, and I got involved in that as an actor. And then I just, from talking to Peter and whatnot, he lives on the East Coast and I'm here on the West Coast, and I was just talking to him a bunch, and he was asking me a bunch of producery kind of questions, and I knew all the answers that he asked me. So then after he had talked to some other, I'm using air quotes, producers that wanted to change his cast and do this and do that, and I need to make like $10,000 a minute, and whatever. He was like, man, I just dealt with all these like A-list assholes personality types, and I can't deal with it. So do you want to produce it? He asked me. So I was like, okay. So
Wow.
that was my first producing thing. So I ended up producing The Chair. So it's if you want to look that up, it's at The Chair Horror on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm looking at some of the screenshots on IMDb right now. It's really cool.
Yeah, it definitely looks legit.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually it's available on, and actually it's sold out on DVD. I just went to go check it out on Amazon today. But it's going to be streaming. I know that he's going to send in more DVDs, and it'll be available again.
Now, is Keep Calm and Hide the Bodies a reference to the movie? I see people wearing that shirt there.
Yep. Yeah, that was he's like graded all those little like phrases and stuff like that. So that was a big thing. I don't think that line is actually in the film, but it was an effective marketing tool. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, that was like a very popular like slogan that you'd see around that time, because that was 2016, and you've done another one which the name intrigues me, Zombie with a Shotgun.
Yeah, Zombie with a Shotgun. That's actually that's almost done right now. There was some cell animation that he wanted to put in it, and that's Hilton Ariel Ruiz, who is the creator of that. So he wanted to do some cell animation as well in there. So that's like taking a long time.
Yeah, the animation and effects are usually like kind of grueling. That can hang up a movie for over a year.
Oh, it can, and it has.
Yeah.
So so he's like almost done with that. So Zombie with a Shotgun should have some public life here shortly. But that was another one of those things where I got on the phone with Hilton, and it was like, so what are you? I see you're like working on Preacher 6. That looks really cool. And I'm like, yeah. What's this thing going on with Zombie with a Shotgun? That looks cool. He's like, yeah, I want to make it a movie. And I said, well, why don't you do it? And so that was how that conversation started, and then we just decided to do it. So,
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And in
So,
that
I
one,
mean,
you're playing Hank Ray.
Yeah, I play Hank Ray, so a bounty hunter, and I may or may not, turn into a zombie in that one. So
Don't
you'll have to
reveal
see.
too much now. You don't want to ruin it.
I think I did by saying that, but
One could guess.
one could guess. But yeah, I mean, the thing about I don't know. The thing about like making an independent film is going into something. It's like you have to go into the mindset of like there is no possibility that this will not happen. And then if you go from that mindset, then you just have to figure out how you're going to how you're going to write that check. So unfortunately, I'm just crazy enough to keep on pushing until things get done,
Well, it takes a lot of dedicated people to make a movie happen.
Yeah, it does. It does. It absolutely does. I mean, it's like, I worked, for Zombie with a Shotgun, I think we did a few fundraisers as well. I think we spent like 6 months raising money for that one. And then we didn't raise quite as much as we wanted to. And Hilton was like, I'm tired of doing the fundraising. Just come on out here. Let's do it. So, I'm sure
that's the most frustrating part, because you're as a filmmaker, that's not what you want to be doing. You want to be actually shooting the movie, not shaking hands and kissing butts.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing. It's like, when you do like crowdfunding and private investment, you kind of like get to do what the original vision for the picture is. And whereas like if you have someone that's going to come in and just fund the film, then you kind of like are answerable to them, So that becomes the trick, unless they're like super cool and like, hey, I have $100,000, why don't you go make a movie and just let me know when it's done. And that would be awesome, but that doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's usually your own money.
At least that I know of. I mean, I know that there are people, I see all these like films that get made, like who gave money for that? So, but it happens. It's like if you put such and such, and this is from distribution, but if you put like such and such actor in here, we know that this person is going to do good in Romania, so we'll make this movie. No matter what it is, if you can get that person, and I don't know any of these people, or I probably wouldn't do that anyway, because that's not how I work. I don't know. I mean, if you look at a certain genre of films and you begin to see a certain cast, or certain actors that are kind of all over those films, it's like those would be the kind of actors that would get a certain cue in a certain country, so that somebody would write a check to make a super B movie.
Yeah.
So, but that's not what I want to do.
Yes.
It's like what I want to do is do something that is actually on par with the big budget films, and prove that filmmakers can really do cool stuff that's as quality, hopefully, as you see like, in the theater, with A-list actors. Because the thing is, like everyone that's in Preacher 6, most people, 90% of the actors I've worked with on prior films throughout the years. Like Carmen Argenziano, who plays Father Gabe in Preacher 6. He was in everything. I mean, the dude, I met him on the set of Andersonville in Georgia when we did that film. That was John Frankenheimer did Andersonville.
Okay.
And so I met Carmen Argenziano, and he was in Godfather 2. So you would know him from that, and Swordfish, and he was on a bunch of TV shows, as well as Peter Murnick, who was on JAG, for a bunch of years, and he was on Justified, and he just did that horror thing called The Mist. So he's like, worked forever. So basically, these were like really, really good. I mean, if John Frankenheimer is going to cast somebody, they're freaking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So I'm not saying that about myself, but I'm glad to be in the film. So
Slick. I like.
Thank you. See what I did there?
I
A
did.
little humble brag.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So
Is that wool you're spinning over there?
out of my hair. Yeah.
There you go.
So basically, I kept in touch with these people, and I was like, if I ever have an opportunity to put these, my friends that I've met over the years into a film, that's what I'm going to do. Because if you go into, like, anyway, you go into a casting room in LA or an acting class or Cal Arts, or Juilliard or anything, it's like you're going to see a lot of good actors, and that's great. There are a lot of good actors, but there's only so many really good actors, and that's like the top probably 10%. There's like, you got 100 actors in a room, 10 of them are really, really good, and it's just the way that it is. I'm not dissing anyone, but that's just kind of how things work from what I've seen over my life of doing this.
Yeah, it's very competitive a field to be in, for sure.
That's what it
Yeah.
seems like.
It's like the only field you can be into where if they're like, nah, I don't like how you look.
It's
Oh
okay.
yeah, no, it's dude, it's the worst. I mean, that part is the worst.
No,
I mean,
can imagine.
I have not been in the rat race like that since I did The Chair. I was like, you know what? All right, I am gonna deep dive in independent film. This is what I'm doing, and I'm gonna go from film to film, and and if people like what I do, and they want to see more, then they will, and if not, I will fade off into obscurity. So I'm hoping that people are liking The Chair, and that people like what they see with Preacher 6, and that we keep doing this and making independent film from outside of the big producers, and so we kind of make our own thing.
Yeah.
It's nice. It allows you that freedom to do what you want.
Yeah. There's not too many cooks in the kitchen, man. I hate that. Like,
Yeah.
You want to change everything about your formula. Everything that's like beautiful about the whole scene of like self-creation, a small publication, like a small production, just like gets ripped apart as soon as like any like type of production that like is seeking funds out of it, a return or whatever.
Yeah, it turns into a profit-making device rather than like a piece of art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but you do want to get paid at the end of the day. We all have bills to pay, I'm sure.
True.
Well, sure. I mean, look, the goal here is not to keep borrowing money from people to make films and never be able to pay them back. It's like, because I do have private investors in these films. Mm-hmm. So I definitely want to put out a good product that people are going to want to rent on Amazon, or iTunes or Google Play or whatever. And so that the goal here is for this whole venture to become a self-generating thing, so that the movies end up paying for themselves instead of continuing to go into debt with each film.
No,
that's the goal. So here we go.
I was gonna say, would you be able to sort of give a synopsis of what we've been talking a lot about the movie, but what exactly is like the plot to Preacher 6?
Well, Preacher 6 is about a small town preacher who ends up like he's coming from a place where like everything is going to shit. People are dying everywhere and people are getting killed, and he doesn't know what's going on. So he ends up coming to getting like this letter, slipped under his door and saying, we need you in Los Angeles, so please come to Los Angeles. And then he ends up going to Los Angeles, and then he finds out what was going on back then, and then also what's going on, in the big city, and he ends up fighting demons, like in a literal sense. So
yeah, the trailer looked cool as hell, man. I gotta say.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, I mean, it's like it's a grindhouse action drama noir film.
Yep.
How you sell that, I'm not really sure. But if you look at the trailer, then you can kind of get it. It's kind of like how do you say, or how do you like say what's a Tarantino film? Is it a horror? No. Is it an action? No. So it's like it's hard to kind of pigeon what it is. But I mean,
from the trailer, the immediate feelings that I got in terms of like juxtaposition to another film was Constantine meets Sin City.
Excellent.
That's with the darkness of like the like super urban ness to like when he's fighting, like shooting the demons and stuff, and like the whole biblical concept of it is sort of like the Constantine angle and fighting demons. It looks really cool.
Yeah, man, it's wild.
Thanks, man.
It looks so visually pleasing.
Yeah, I think that my wife did an awesome job with the script. The script is amazing. I mean, it's like the characters that you really don't really see much of the character interaction in those initial trailers. You see a little bit of it. We have like a third trailer that's out now. It's Preacher 6 trailer 3. You can see it find it on YouTube, and it's got some of the actors that I was just talking about. So you get to see a little bit of interaction, but there's so much like witty dialogue and drama and comedy, and there's some cut-ups of the characters in it. It's just so you got your mix of everything. You know how like Army of Darkness, there's like a whole bunch of funny moments in this crazy film.
Yep.
So it's like there's that element as well. So I really, it's the funny thing is my character's like the straight guy. You know what I mean? It's like I have all these other characters that are like, just kind of like out there and, doing their thing, and they, all, and I'm just like, hey, all right, what am I doing here? All right, we're going to go fight some okay, let's do that then. So I'm like, I'm the, and not to diminish my character, but I mean, it's like, there's
everything's happening to you. It's the plot that's driving your character forward.
You know what? You can speak for me forever now.
No, I get way too into movies. That's the thing. Like me and Matt got talking about Dutch angles the other day for like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just like cool camera tricks and stuff. It's definitely cool what you can do with film, and I think you guys are doing something really awesome here.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. So I hope that hopefully people dig it, because we got plans. We got plans beyond this one. So
So maybe a Preacher 5, a prequel.
Oh,
go that way with it. And where does the 6 come in with it?
Well, that's kind of a plot point. So
I was gonna say, are you able to tell us? I had a feeling.
Yeah, I can't really tell you.
Don't ruin anything for me.
But there's a reason. There's a reason that it's 6, and it is explained in the film.
Cool.
So
that's awesome. Man.
Now you said it's about 98% in like wraps, but what's the next steps after that?
Well, the next steps is to we are raising money right now for post-production, and post-production, as is basically as big as getting everybody together. Actually, it's longer than doing the film. I mean, okay, here's how the film goes. So it's like raise money for 2 years. The film gets shot in the 10 days one last summer, and then we shot for 13 days this summer.
Oh,
so
wow.
It's 23 days of filming, with all
just
the
under
actors.
a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So that is like, so to have 2.5 years of fundraising, 23 days of filming, and then if we can get as soon as we get the money for all of the post-production, that'll take about 6 months to edit and get the color correction and the sound and the Foley and the music and all the composition and all of that stuff that happens in post. So which takes way longer than 23 days. So it's like making a film is a marathon. And so right now we're like in the second half of the marathon, because now we have most of the film shot. So now we just have to get it into all the technical and other creatives' hands that I have no idea how to do. So I leave it to other people.
Well, it's good to delegate. Leaves you open for other endeavors.
The next project.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so actually, the funny thing is, we're gonna get this one done, and then we're gonna go into like a '70s western called The Coop. And so that's
Oh,
that's gonna
cool.
be, yeah. So it's like kind of in the vein of No Country for Old Men.
All right.
Wow, nice.
You've got my
Yeah.
attention.
So awesome. So it has nothing to do with no special effects. I mean, it's
Mhm.
like No Country for Old Men. You know, I mean, there's going to be
Raw.
some gunplay. So
Yeah.
you know, but besides that, there won't be any
Couple of real tense coin flips.
Nice. Yes, that's funny.
That's awesome, and I feel like that genre hasn't been done well enough recently. Like, there's the really good old westerns and stuff, but more recent. You got like Cowboys versus Aliens and shit. Like,
Right.
I don't know. There's something in like the intensity of the conversations and stuff where, like you said, it's not overblown special effects or anything. It's just like a man and his pistol.
Yeah, and it's relying more on the depth of the story in what you can create there. And
It's
I mean,
cool
the
if you
contrast.
can work in like a good twist to it in some way with another genre, like a cowboy horror.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I think I mean with the Coop specifically, it's definitely a drama.
Okay.
And there will be those like conversations that you're talking about. There's lots of that, and it's going to be there is PTSD elements with it because of the character that I play. It takes place in 1971.
Okay.
So, and my character is like a Vietnam vet. So like with PTSD.
Okay.
So that's going to play a part into it's not what drives the film, but it's kind of like you see how it affects things in the film.
Okay.
So
that's
yeah.
awesome.
Thanks. Yeah. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and so yeah, we got plans, man. We got plans. So we just gotta like make one thing at a time happen. It's like if I had somebody that could like write a check for $250,000 and just say, this is for your next 2 films, I'd be like, all right, we'll do that. And we could just put them back to back,
Right?
Yep.
But
I mean, there's always the lottery too, I guess, right?
there is always a lottery, or maybe I get the perfect T-shirt, and then somebody's like, let's see, 10,000 shirts, so we just need people to buy 10,000 shirts. So.
It's true. Actually, and that was one of the things I think that I saw you pushing on Twitter was if people got in with supporting the film early on, they got like exclusive merchandise or something, was it?
Yeah. It's part of the perks that we have right now. We have an Indiegogo that's on right now, and we also have a GoFundMe, which will be continuing to run the. I know that this year, this podcast is going to be running probably beyond when the Indiegogo ends.
Till the end of time.
To the end of time. So we will always have a GoFundMe, so you can look up a Preacher 6 on GoFundMe, and until it's done, and then we'll take them all down. But yeah,
and I would definitely say to our audience, it's worth supporting these indie films because, as we discussed in the first part of the conversation here, giving people the ability to do that themselves means they have a lot more freedom to do what they want and hopefully create something better for the audience overall.
Yeah, and I feel like it breaks through these walls of the stereotypical copies we get. The reproduction of the same movies over and over again, or remakes that come too soon.
Get some original ideas out there.
It's nice to break the stalemate in the mainstream movie industry.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, as artists, there's so many talented people that I've run into through the years, like at school, at Cal Arts, and even in my high school, where I was like, wow, that person's gonna be a star. I mean, because they're that good, And the thing is, that is not enough, and that's the hard thing to learn, as an actor, is that you can be an Academy Award winning performer and it's not enough. It's like it's like there's luck involved, and there's people skills,
Networking.
and there's networking, and there's don't be an asshole.
Yeah. One bad story could fuck your whole life.
Yeah. And there's just like I went through a series of agents and I never got an opportunity. I never had that one audition. It's like I got the auditions for like the little, the 5 line and unders, and and I did those, did a bunch of those, but I never got the shot. And that's it sounds like a soap opera, but it's true. It's like there's so many people that
it's real life.
It's real life. Yeah. Never get the shot, never get the break. So basically, and I've been. It's like with John Frankenheimer, that he to me was like my break, and the reason I say that is I was like hired. I had one line in Andersonville, and I forget the line now, but I was hired to play this one line part, and I show up, and there's John Frankenheimer, and he's going through a scene with this other actor. He's like, all right, let's read through this scene. So we go over there, and they're going through the scene, and the actor didn't know his lines, and his John Frankenheimer's like, God damn it, does anybody know these goddamn lines? and I had been studying the sides in the morning, seeing what we're doing in the day, and I like kind of sheepishly raised my hand, like I know the lines, and then he's like, come here. And let's read this. And so I freaking read this scene with John Frankenheimer, and he's like, all right, we're gonna split this scene up between you two. So I ended up splitting that scene up with this other actor. So I basically took half of his lines.
Oh wow.
And this was a scene in the gallows. I don't know if you've ever seen Andersonville. It's a Civil War movie. I think you can see it on YouTube now. Really
okay.
Good. But I played. Tell the story in order. Okay, so I end up doing that scene with this kid. I say kid because I was in my early 20s. I can say kid. I did the scene, and at the end of the day, John comes up to me and he's like pacing. He's like rubbing the scruff of his beard with his hand. And he's like kind of pacing back and forth. He's like looking down at the ground. He says, I'm gonna use you a lot in this movie. I don't know how yet, but I'm going to use you a lot.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, okay.
That's intimidating. Were you a little nervous?
Fuck yeah, man. It was like, this is like, John Frankenheimer, like the Train, Birdman of Alcatraz, it's Ronin, all like he's the man, one of the best directors of all time.
Let me try not to fuck up now.
Yeah, so and then sure enough, I came back and played another part, which was Captain of the Artillery, which is the original part that I was cast for with the one line, which I did. And then he brought me back as one of the fresh fish, which meant that I was one of the new prisoners. So I played Union and Confederate soldier in the same film, and I spoke in all the parts. So. And the way that I did that was like makeup. Like the captain had like a full beard and, dress. And then when I came out as the fresh fish, it's like, they had me clean shaven and, like that. And in the other part in the gallows that I split the part with that kid, he cut around me. So you could just hear my voice, but you couldn't see me.
Okay.
Yep. Do a little vocal change in between there and you're fine, right?
Yeah. So that's how that ended up happening, and then so circling back to the beginning of the story, the reason that he was going to be like my, how Kyle Hester as an actor makes it, into the A-list world, was he was going to be using me in films after that. He's like, I have this other film, it's called Silo 3 Jane that I want you to be in. And so I was like, all right, I'm in my 20s. Basically, I'm set. John Frankenheimer is going to put me in his like stable of actors. This is the deal, And then, as we know, he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So
in 2002, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So he passed away in 2002, and that was it. I mean, it's like now it was like all I have is this story, of what coulda, shoulda, woulda happened if John Frankenheimer hadn't passed away.
Oh yeah.
So nobody else has this story. No one else has that. Was there. No one else is John that's going to put me in those movies. They don't know what happened at Andersonville. It's like it's a vacuum. It just didn't ever happen.
Well, no, it happened. It happened to you.
No, I know that. I mean, from my perspective, and now that you know the story, we know this happened.
Yeah.
But it's like when I walk into a casting place, that then it's like I'm just another guy.
Yep.
Like that doesn't know. Oh wow, you worked with the freaking Academy Award winner, and he was going to put you in all of his movies. So
right.
I need to put you in my movie. And I can't go into a casting thing and go, well, don't you know who I'm Kyle Hester, and this is my story, so you got to put me in the film. It doesn't work.
You gotta come in with your headshot and have one of Frankenheimer and on top and oh, I'm sorry, that's I worked for him at one point. And then give him yours instead.
Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah, man, I should have tried that. But yeah, but I mean, but the thing is, it's like, so I'm just one guy. So this is like, that's one story, of all of the different possible things that could happen to people in their life and, as they go along. So the moral of this whole thing is it doesn't fucking matter, man, because you just got to keep going. It's like,
True.
You're going to quit, I mean, and speaking of that, another gentleman who I met on the set of Andersonville, his name was, he has since passed away. His name was Denis Forrest. And if you look him up on IMDb, you'll know Denis Forrest. He was in a movie called The Mask. And he was like one of the bad guys. He has long blonde hair. You'll recognize
the Jim
him.
Carrey mask, right? Not the Cher one.
Yeah, Jim Carrey.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, are you looking at him?
Well, what was his name again? I'm sorry.
Denis Forrest.
Denis Forrest.
Oh wait, was he the buff dude?
Sweet Eddie. He played.
I don't know that he was buff. I mean, he's just like an average build, but he has a very
longer blonde kind of hair.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's Denis. So I'm here in Hollywood, and I ran into him at a coffee shop, and I was like, going through the grind, going like, Denis, man, I don't know, it's like, I don't know if I can do this, it's like, it's hard to be an actor and make money and pay bills and do the rat race kind of thing. And I said, I don't know what I need to do. Like, do I need to get a job or, do this other thing, this other opportunity? And he got really mad. And I remember he furrowed his brow and he looked at me and he said, Kyle, what else are you going to do? And
wow.
it was like, whoa, arrow, like fucking right to the heart.
So matter of fact, but so true.
So matter of fact, so true, so poignant. I did not have a word to say. I couldn't answer the question. So I was like, that's the answer. There is no, it's like, you're all in or you that's it. This is what you're doing, Yeah. So here I So here I am going, okay, well, let's do independent film, So, God, I think I've told you guys more about myself on one podcast than I think I ever have on any other podcast.
Sweet. Yeah. We got the scoop. We like to, have good conversation with people and pull out that kind of stuff.
I was going to say, we have that way with people.
we have that way.
We have our ways of getting information, Mr. Kyle.
Awesome.
Now, if people wanted to check out the film, what's the easiest way to get to it?
I would say, well, we have a website, www.preacher6.com. If you're on Twitter, it's @preacher6 spelled out, and or you could just go to my Twitter, which is @KyleD.Hester.
Awesome.
Those would be the best ways.
You got an Instagram or anything like that too, or?
I do. It's what is it?
Some people aren't
Kyle
public with their stuff.
Kyle
Yeah.
Hesterland, I think, is what I have Instagram. Yeah, Kyle Hesterland.
Nice.
But, I don't post very often on Instagram. I know I should, but it's like I have my hands full with Twitter. It's like I kind of like going, okay, I need to pick one of these things because I'm going to go insane if I like try to do all of the different social media platforms. So I kind of like going, all right, I'm going to do Twitter. So,
I understand.
Yeah, you can't do all of them and be a normal person.
Yeah, I chose Instagram personally, but I don't do any of the other ones.
Yeah, and I handle our Twitter, so between the two of us, we get it done.
Yeah.
Well, see, there you go. That's how you do that. Yeah.
Divide it up.
Yep. Got to chisel away, man. And one more time, how the funding of the movie that's going to be up for a while. Let's just throw that out there again in case people wanted to go check that out and help.
Yeah, please go to we have a GoFundMe. Actually, I think we have a couple of the GoFundMe links on there. If you look up Preacher 6 on GoFundMe, you will see the link to the fundraiser. And we have different perks, so you can get like signed stuff. You can pre-order the DVD. You can get a signed poster. So it's nice. We have like perks for what you get. So unless you can do like $10, and be eternally have our eternal gratitude.
Yeah, everything counts.
Oh yeah.
So it's like we have different stuff that you can get, so you end up having something from the show.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's how Super Troopers 2 was funded, and they gave away a lot of the set and everything. I think that's the future, man. And as like a movie nerd, like we would love to own a piece of the films. It's like nice, the signed movie poster, whatever it is. I really dig that styling.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that it's kind of the only way, unless you go to conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Like how else you gonna do that? Get like a piece of something that and be a part of it. To be a part of like, hey, I helped make that happen. Like seriously. That's not a joke.
You can even get your name in the credits. This is fantastic.
That's why.
Yeah. I think for $100 you get like a bunch of stuff and then a special thanks in the credits.
Oh, that's what's up. That is really cool, man. $100 buys your way into the film.
Yeah.
Easy, cheap way, man. You didn't do any of the work. God.
But you're supporting, which is the most important thing. To give people the GoFundMe, it's gofundme.com/Preacher6 Final Film Campaign. Or off of the Preacher 6 website, which is where I found.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Kyle, thank you for being on. I guess it's time for us to do our little shout out for our plugs here.
Oh, yeah. Check out our Facebook, people. You can find us at American Slacker Podcast, where you can find the American Slackers group as well. And also check out the Instagram, where we have the promos for each and every show. And last but not least, the website, AmericanSlackerPodcast.com or ASPodcast.com.
You can also find us on Twitter and Reddit at AMERSLKR Podcast. All of our stuff goes up on YouTube, and we ask you to please rate and review the show on iTunes. Tell a friend, create another Slacker.
And if you wanted to send us an email, it's AmericanSlackerPodcast@gmail.com. And check out our Spotify playlist. All you got to do is search American Slacker Podcast. You'll find our playlist with all of the musical artists that we've covered on the show, some that have been on the show, and also all of our shows are up there too. Make it nice and easy.
And now we don't have a GoFundMe, but we do have a Patreon where you can come and support the show, get little rewards, kind of like what they're doing with Preacher 6. We don't have any credits that you can put your name in, but we will give you a shout out on each show. So that's one way that you can support us and keep this stuff going. So keep talking to interesting people.
I believe if you give us $20, we did write up that we would print out a photo of you and put it in the backdrops of both of our sets.
Yeah, no one's taken us up on that yet. But we'd love to, put your smiling face, but it could be any picture too. It could be something obscene, and I'm sure we'd still put it up in the background.
Oh yeah. Kyle, thank you so much again, man. It's been a pleasure. It's been a fun conversation, man. And we'll have you back on as soon as we get a chance to sit down to Preacher 6.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you,
Kyle.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We love each and every one of you. And until next time, that's it.
There you go.